Rode microphones are the official microphones of BeTerrific. Find out more at rodemic.com. Welcome to the Michael Artsis Show. I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for joining us. I am so excited today, so jacked up. It's not the coffee I just had. It's me. It's all me. I'm excited. So much to talk about. First of all, this is probably either today or tomorrow the last day I'll have the Apple Watch. I think I'm 100%. It still might get a reprieve from death row, but I'm 100%, I think, returning it. But I have a lot to talk about it, and I do think it's really cool. I'll tell you why I'm going to return it either later today or tomorrow on the show tomorrow as well. And then we've got a whole lot more to talk about as well. And we got to get an update from Greg on this Corvette thing. Is he going to do it? Isn't he going to do it? I'm not sure we'll have it resolved till Monday, but we've got to find out what's going on. I thought yesterday's guest was great. He was just unbelievable. Alan Ageman. The feedback from you guys was phenomenal. Please keep it coming. Connect at BeTerrific.com. You are the Terrifics. You make BeTerrific special, and you can join the rest of the Terrifics and us in our Slack chat. Keep the conversation going 24 hours a day. When we're on air, we'll sneak some of your questions and comments on air, and of course you'll be able to talk to us and all the Terrifics as the show is live in real time. That is BeTerrific.com/Slack. And you can do that. It's a lot of fun, so do it. Send us your name and email. We'll send you an invitation. It's the only way to join Slack, and we love it. We really enjoy your comments, questions, and all the funny stuff, too. All right, don't forget about social media, at BeTerrific TV on all social media, and Facebook.com/BeTerrificTV. Now, we're doing great on Facebook, so keep going there. Keep checking the stuff out. We're really making a big push there out of nowhere. You guys make that special. Thank you guys so much. And in the next few weeks, like I said, we'll be running reruns during the weekends and all sorts of stuff, adding programming and best of the week and all sorts of great stuff like that. We're on Periscope today. We're testing out Periscope for some cool other things. We're on it right now, so if you want to go over and check that out. It's not plugged into any microphone equipment. We might do that in the future. It's just its own, the iPad microphone. And I think that you'll be able to see through the commercials, too, which I know many of you want to see behind the scenes. So as we talk a lot of trash between the commercials, maybe you'll hear that. Although we might censor ourselves a little bit, and that is, I think, BeTerrific TV on Periscope. I'll find out all the details about that, but certainly search BeTerrific on Periscope when you want to. All right, we've got a great guest today. He's in studio. We're going to talk a lot of tech. We're going to geek out a lot because this guy is from a company called getGeeked. getGeeked. Get geeked. Would you get geeked already? Just get geeked. Are you geeked? I'm geeked. Get geeked. It's really awesome. They do trade shows in New York, San Francisco. They're a growing startup, and this guy's been around for a while in the geek space. He knows the stuff. He knows the tech. We're going to talk about his company, the tech, startups, and a whole lot more. Maybe we'll even talk a little Apple Watch, but I love this. He brought some swag for us. Here's some swag. I got a T-shirt. The other guy's got T-shirts. This one says, Get Geeked. Yeah, I mean, come on. How about that? The guy comes bringing stuff. This is from his event in San Francisco that just happened. Lenovo's a sponsor. Western Digital. You know that when you see sponsors like that, it's a legit event, and it's a place where startups can go. We're going to find out more. Of course, there's a little booklet about Get Geeked in here, and there are a few more things, but this is one of the coolest ones. This is the Nest earbud storage made easy because everybody has the issue of how do you store your earbuds. I don't even know how to store mine, which is why I don't use earbuds. I use the aftershocks because they're Bluetooth. They go on my ears. They don't go in my ears or outside. They're bone conducting. They're awesome. But sometimes I use headphones. I like headphones a lot, especially Monster headphones and all these other headphones that look cool when you wear them around your neck. But Bluetooth is where it's at for me, so you don't have to use that thing. But you guys, you use the cords, so you're like Jill, my wife, so do that. Anyway, Barry from Get Geeked is here. Barry, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you on.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Tell me about Get Geeked. It's your vision. It's your brainchild. I think it's great because it's a way for startups and non-startups to get their tech out to not only the media but consumers in a smaller kind of trade show setting.
That's right. That's right. You know, the inspiration behind Get Geeked, it's an event. It's a 5-hour event, and the inspiration is, having been in this industry and having been producing events for almost 10 years now, is that there's disruption all around us in the tech sector, right? I mean, everybody's smartwatches and all this crazy disruption. The one aspect that's not getting disrupted is these events. So you've got these tabletop press-only events that run around the country. They don't let anybody in if they're not accredited press. And you know, the companies come, they do them, they don't really have any alternatives. There's some pictures, a couple pictures get posted to Facebook. You know, what's the story they're telling their fans? Look at us at this event that you're not allowed to go to. So when I, you know, started to think about what I wanted getGeeked to look like, what I understood, and I talked to the folks at Lenovo and Western Digital and the other companies I have really great relationships with, talked to them about the challenges they're facing now, and you know, yeah, press coverage is critical. That hasn't changed. That's maybe even more so now. But now there's so many other challenges for them, right? They need to get these geeks saying nice things about them on Twitter and Instagram and turning them into, you know, advocates and evangelists, to use some of the marketing language that everybody uses. They need to create their own content. They're all publishers. They all have Facebook pages and stuff. So that's what we're doing by letting the press in and delivering that kind of same press event environment for a couple hours. And then you look outside the building, outside the venue, and there's a line 6 blocks long of these really super passionate tech enthusiasts. We let them in after the first couple hours, and then they get a couple hours to get face-to-face with these brands.
It must be really exciting for you, because I imagine that not only are you're curating this. I mean, it's not just, hey, if you've got a tech company or you've got an idea, come on in. This is an exclusive club, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's an exclusive club. It's not terribly hard to get into. I mean, the event is free, first of all. I mean,
no, I don't mean for the people who want to go to it. I mean, you're curating it as far as, I mean, I'm press, I'm going to show up, there's going to be stuff that's innovative, new, that I haven't seen, as opposed to just, oh, you've got a tech product, we'll put it on, just pay us. You're actually curating it and picking things that are innovative.
Yeah, I mean, to a large extent we are. I mean, you're not going to come in to getGeeked and, you know, walk past a massage table like you do at these big industry trade shows and stuff. I mean, the baseline is, and it doesn't have to be hardware either. You know, I get asked a lot, you know, I don't have a gadget, what am I going to do at this show? And really what the conversation I have with the companies is, listen, are you trying to get the attention of 18 to 35-year-old enthusiasts? You know, they're super hard to reach. They're not seeing your ads on TV. They're not clicking on your banners. Not only are they at getGeeked, but they're there with the right attitude. They're there to talk to you. They're there to learn about your gear. At getGeeked, they're bringing new gear, and they're getting their feedback, and they're getting really important feedback from these consumers that it's really hard to get anywhere else. So, yeah, we curate it to a large extent. I mean, you know, most of the brands in the B2C space who are trying to get the attention of these folks are doing some interesting stuff, making interesting hardware.
So what gadgets excite you right now? Like, or let's start with what sector of tech excites you. Is it wearables? Is it virtual reality? Is it the 360 cameras? Is it, what is it? What is it, home automation? Is it health stuff? What is it that makes you excited?
Some of the connected home stuff, but I live in an apartment in Manhattan, so we haven't had a chance to test that. What I'm really kind of geeked about right now, and it's not, you know, super new, but is kind of the content delivery mechanisms, the ability to access my media and the TV shows I like everywhere.
So you're talking like Sling TV.
Sling TV.
You also got Hulu and Netflix.
What companies are doing to try to move this cord-cutting movement along. Sure. The ability to watch what I want, where I want, when I want. You know, truth be told, I've been in the event space producing consumer-facing, press-facing events for years and years and years. I'm not the speeds and feeds guy, right? You know, before getGeeked, I was at a startup, Gadget.com, with two of the biggest geeks in the country, co-founders, Ryan Block and Peter Rojas, and I used to joke that, you know, when I have a hardware problem or something, I can get on IM with one of those guys and get my problem solved real quick. So, you know, I'm not technically particularly a speeds and feeds guy. I think the wearable categories are super exciting. You and I talked about that a little bit before we got on. I just, you know, don't think they've entered into this necessity environment where consumers feel the need to have them. They don't feel the need to have that computer on their wrist yet.
So what do you think of the Apple Watch? I've said I like it. I'm surprised that I like it, but I like it, and I'm gonna return it because I sit there and I go, number one, I think that version 2 or 3 is going to be so much better that I'm going to want that, and I don't want to spend $700 and then another $700 and then another $700. Yeah. Number 2, I'm going to return it because I don't really want to spend $700 right now on a watch, and especially when it's not a, it doesn't say Tag or Movado, and certainly those are going to be more expensive than that, or it doesn't say Breitling. Well, but to me, to spend $700 on something that is not going to be with me in 2 or 3 years, I don't know. Did I find it makes me more productive? Yes. Did I like it? Yes. Was I surprised by it? Yes. And I like the way it looks. I think it looks cool. I don't know. I think that I'll probably return it, but I think that the reason is because Apple has conditioned me that their products get so much better in version 2 and so much better in version 3, it might be best not to spend my money.
And I mean, that's not just an Apple thing, right? Yeah. I mean, all of these companies that are producing these smartwatches, and whether it's Android or
yeah, but the difference is that an Android Wear is $300.
Right.
So I could buy version 1, version 2, and version 3, by the way, with tax and everything and Apple Care, this was $777. Yeah. So by the time I could literally buy version 1, 2, and almost version 3 of the Samsung Android or some other Android Wear for one of these. For version 1 of this.
Yeah, but I would suggest that $300 is still not nothing, right? I mean,
I'm not saying it's nothing. I'm just saying it's still I could buy 3 for 1 almost.
Versus Apple, but still to, in isolation, to pay $300 to go out and buy a gadget that is not at version 3 yet, is not
and it's not a necessity. You brought that up before off camera. I think that was the big thing.
And the surprising thing to me isn't that it's not a necessity. I mean, it's super cool, and I think it's very much, you see a ton of enthusiasm in the geek community for that category. But it's, not only not a necessity, I think it's interesting. You mentioned some of those fashion brands, and I think that's a real interesting element of this. And you see Apple bringing on people from those types of companies.
I got to tell you, let me break it down a little for you. I think they've done such a phenomenal job with this. You don't even realize. First of all, I've never had a watch I could change the band to. I had to bring it to a jeweler, right? So I could change the band. I just push this little button here. Okay, there's a little thing right here, and you can just slide this out, and it's never fallen out yet in almost 2 weeks. It's really nice. Look at that.
Yeah, and that's Apple.
That's awesome.
I mean, you wouldn't expect anything less from them.
But look at that. I mean, I actually think the band is fashionable, and it looks great. And the way they did the crown and everything, it's fun. It's cool. It looks good. I banged it around a little. It doesn't show a single scratch. I got the sapphire crystal. That's why it was $700 instead of $500. But you know what? If I don't have the sapphire crystal, forget it. This thing's destroyed already.
What is the what's the version that's like?
Oh, well, you could go. I mean,
the $10,000.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the stainless. Okay, with the sport band, you could buy the leather band. I think is around the same price. Right. I don't really know. I didn't like any of the only leather band I liked was on the smaller watch, which is a lady's watch. Yeah. And so then you go up to the and I like a big face anyway. Like you got a big face on that thing. I like that. You go up to the gold. Is the highest. It's like 17 grand. Which is ridiculous.
And I know Apple's not divulging any sales data at all.
I'm sure they sold 5 of those. I'm sure there are people who have to have them.
Do we have any anecdotal data on how many
you're
of those
a billionaire.
gold?
What else are you going to do? You got to throw some cash around, right? You're going to be the guy, right?
Yeah.
So people feel that way. I don't necessarily feel that way, but you have a lot of money, the stainless steel band made this watch jump. I probably would have done the space gray one instead of the stainless. Mm-hmm. But you had to get it with the stainless steel band, which jumps the watch to $1,100.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
It's just nuts.
Again, version.
I have a tag that I've had. It was I don't even want to tell you how much the tag cost me. It was stupid money, but I've had it for 20-something years. Yeah. Okay. I have a Movado. I've had it since 2000. That's 15 years. Yeah. And all I do is put a battery in it. I have my grandfather's Audemars Piguet. I have my grandfather's Rolex. Let me see somebody have this for 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
That's I guess the point. Not look, it's $700. It's not a Rolex or an Audemars Piguet that's many thousands of dollars you're going to have for 50, 60 years. Fine, but the point is that this has got a shelf life of 2 or 3 years, and it's just hard to.
And even when they get to V3 or whatever, and it kind of gets polished and really starts working the way everybody hopes these will work, you're still only going to have it for a few years because there's still going to be the next one.
I know they got to figure out a way to get the price down. I will tell you this. I don't really know what else I would want out of this. I know some people say they'd like to be able to leave their cell phone at home at night for like dinner, and so it could have a SIM card in it. You think about that, and then in reality, you're going to make all your calls over speakerphone. Then what are you going to want to do when you want to get tickets for a ball game, or you're going to want to get show tickets, or you're going to want your phone with you. So I don't see. To me, it's not. I can't be without my phone or a phone. So I don't see that. The waterproof, I think, is the big thing, not for me, but for other people, where they're going to want to take it swimming. There are a lot of people taking this swimming now and not having problems, allegedly. I had it out in the rain. It was torrential rain with the volleyball girls. I've got sand on it, rain, schmutz, the whole deal.
No problem.
No problems. And I thought that was great. But, you want Apple to say you can go swimming to, 33-foot depth or 100-foot depth or 300-foot depth with it. I think you'll see that. And I think that that's really the only thing, and maybe some more accuracy on these heart rate monitors and the other stuff. But also, they told me that you have to wear it a certain way for it to be accurate. So I don't know that everybody's wearing it a certain way. I like wearing my watch a little bit looser than I had to wear it to get the heart rate monitor accurate.
Yeah, I've heard some of that too, that there's some fidgeting and stuff that needs to go on to get that to work. I do think, though, that, if you kind of think really kind of futuristically, that divorcing it from the phone is the key here, right?
Really?
I do think that.
I've had the cell phone watch. I had the Phenom.
It doesn't happen next year or the year after, but ultimately, I think the way that this category goes completely mainstream is, yes, hopefully over time the price comes down, but also over time, and don't ask me how, but they figure out these elements that make it independent of the phone. And then all of a sudden you're like, maybe in 5 or 6 years, I got to have a watch. I got to have the watch.
I think the glasses. I really do. I was totally against the glasses for a long time. But now I think, like, if I can read my emails while I'm doing other things, if I can get information while I'm doing other things, and it can kind of be in the background, I like the idea, like, these Wowie cars are amazing, these Wowie Revs. Have you played with these?
A little bit at a couple of the shows we've been
to.
They're
phenomenal. If I could have a heads-up display so I don't have to look down at how much life I have left and all that stuff, this marries the best of video games and the best of RC cars. If I could have that heads-up display so I could do that better, oh my God, if I could have information about you right now, instead of looking down at the computer, I could still look at you, and I could see the Slack chat that Digital Phil wants to know your favorite gadget of all time, which is actually his question we're going to get to. If I could do that without having to look down here, to me, that would be amazing. If I could see that, the stats on you, that you were with Ziff Media for a long time, without having to look down or trying to remember that,
but
I actually think there's a real application for that.
I think the frame of mind that you have to be in to think that way is the same way that you have to be to think that someday this watch is going to be independent. I mean, this is kind of letting it open, breaking it open and letting.
Well, first of all, I'm halfway there. I'm already wearing the glasses. I already have the glasses.
Yeah.
Why not put information on them?
And I agree with you. And I think you got to let yourself go from what's possible tomorrow and what's the next version going to be like.
Well, that's what I always say. You got to get it when you want it or when you need it, and that's it. Not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow you can worry about tomorrow because there's always going to be better. You could wait. At version 3, you could go. You know what? I want version 6. So, all right. Digital Phil wanted to know. He's in the Slack chat. He wants to know, what's up, Digital Phil? How you doing? Wants to know what your favorite gadget is.
So, again, not a real big speeds and feeds guy.
Yeah.
Want it to work, want it to be simple. I'd probably have to say the Sonos.
The Sonos.
The Sonos just brought music back to my life. And I used to be, a little bit of a hippie dipper. I was chasing Jerry Garcia and the Dead all over, and I had drawfuls of bootlegs, and and that just got too much. I moved to Manhattan. I got married. I had a kid. I got 2 cats. I got no room for anything.
Your wife said, where are these cassettes going to go?
Sonos, man, we plopped one down in each of the rooms. We've just got 2 because, again, a Manhattan apartment, we don't need much more. I've seen buddies who've got them all over the house, and it just works, man. It sounds great. It's sleek. I've got, you have to consider it, obviously, in context of the music services that are out there now. And I know there's in my world, in our world, a fair amount of dissatisfaction with the shortcomings of Spotify and RDO. But at the same time, you got to sit back at some level and say, where were, a few years ago, none of this was possible.
Well, that's the funny thing is you always look at what people complain about and you go, what are you complaining about? Like, this is light years ahead of what we had 2 weeks ago.
So, we're driving all over the place, my wife and I, and this is a good example of kind of the dichotomy of that. I am just marveling at Google Maps and, oh my God, 5, 10 years ago, this just didn't happen. And if they tell us to make one wrong turn, my wife's like, we're never using Google Maps again. I'm like, no, honey, you don't get it. I mean, they've mapped the entire world.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. I will say that at one point, I almost drove, you hear these crazy stories about people driving off docks. I was
getting caught in the desert. And,
I was on my way to a shoot in Massachusetts late at night. And it told me to make a left, and I just didn't feel right. And I stopped instead of making the left. If I had made the left, I would have gone right down a boat ramp and right into the water. Oh, man. There were no lights. You couldn't see anything. By the time I would have figured this out, I would have been in trouble. So I just kept looking, like, a left here? Really? And I kept looking, and then somehow, I think what I did was I turned the car to the left so I could shine the lights on it.
Okay.
And then I saw, like, wait, that's water. That's not good. And it had gotten lost. But yes, I agree.
Did you say to yourself, oh, well, Google Maps, this company that's mapped the world, made a little mistake here? And
I thought, thankful I didn't make the left.
Or did you say, I'm never going to use Google Maps?
I just said, right. Whatever. I guess we got to be careful. That's all. Good thing I wasn't going 60 and making that left.
I mean, I would say Sonos. And again, that goes back to what I was saying before about kind of what I'm into, this ability to control anything I want to listen to, watch.
We're supposed to get a monster soundstage, which is a Sonos competitor. I'm very excited about it. In the next few weeks, they're supposed to send it to us.
Actually, I mean, you're seeing these kind of, the difference between your typical kind of, dumb Bluetooth speaker and these ones that you can daisy chain around. Actually, at the first Get Geeked event last fall, DTS, which is a company that's been, in the OEM audio business for years, making amazing audio technology, they launched the second generation of their Phoros at the show last fall. And I mean, I've had Sonos for years, but this is a fantastic device too, and it's another one that you can spread around.
I think there are a lot of them now. The one thing that kept me from buying Sonos always, and I was always intrigued by it, was the price. I always felt like it was just too much, and they've come way down in price, and now they have a lot of competition, which helps that as well.
They're getting more competition. They've had they have come down in price. I mean, that sound bar, which I don't own, was supposed to be amazing. I know that came out a couple years ago and was really expensive at first.
Because I think that there are a lot of audiophiles out there, but not everybody is an audiophile, and that's the issue there. It's the rub. Like, I just want music in every room. But then, like, the nice thing about having like a Sonos is my wife doesn't have to hear it when I want to hear it.
Yep.
And so you could have it in the bathroom while I'm showering, and she can not have it in the bedroom.
And this idea of how you cater in this digital world to these audiophiles is, kind of fascinating too. I mean, you look at the Neil Young thing, which is just bombed terribly.
Yeah. He's like distancing himself from it now, which
is
so
really?
weird.
I haven't followed it. I just saw when it came out, the reviews were not good.
Well, and he's also, but he's doing this weird, like, I'm going to take my ball and go home. I'll tell you about it when we come back from break, because we got to take a break. We're way overdue. Way overdue. We had such a good conversation already. We're just like light years overdue. I want to find out how people can get to come to the next show, when it is, and how if people are startups, they can apply to be part of it. And we'll talk some more about tech. CJ's got a couple questions, JT Hockey as well. But we're going to take a quick break. How's that sound? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with a whole lot more on the Michael Artsis Show right after this. You're the Terrifics. I'm Michael Artsis. This is BeTerrific. Don't go anywhere. You're awesome. Welcome back to the Michael Artsis Show. I'm Michael Artsis. You're the Terrifics. You make BeTerrific special, and this is BeTerrific. We've got Barry from getGeeked on. He's got this trade show that goes San Francisco, New York, all about tech. Bring the press in, and then consumers get to come in and see the latest tech.
Yeah.
But it's a very select, curated tech. And I think that that's cool.
But it's a neat mix of these hardware startups that are just doing crazy cool things next to, Lenovo and TiVo and Western Digital, and it's a really cool mix.
How long did it take you to get going? Obviously you knew what you were doing in some respect because you had been doing this before.
So this is event number 3.
Yeah.
The first one was when I was at Ziff. We actually, me and some other people came up with the concept of a real press consumer-facing version of CES. A lot smaller. It was called Digital Life. It was 4 days at the Javits, 4 years, 2004 to 2008. 60,000 people came that last year. And that's kind of where I, you know, cut my teeth. Is that the expression on the whole
That
event
would be the
space?
expression, yeah. I feel like we need
because actually, before that, you know, I am.
we need like Merv Griffith in here.
I am, you know, I am one of those reformed lawyers.
Yeah.
You know, went to BU Law, went to a little consulting firm, did regulatory work and tech, and just.
This is very interesting. So you're
Yeah.
a reformed lawyer, and you also traveled with or followed the dead. You chased the dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I ran around the country
You were a
in,
deadhead.
in the 80s with the Dead. Before it was hip, you know, then in 87 they came out with Touch of Grey, which kind of brought them back into the mainstream. They sold, you know, for the first time ever, they sold albums, discs, whatever. And then all of a sudden it was funny because I was in college. I went to college, you know, and everyone's going to know how old I am now. But,
1929, right?
Right. I went to college in 85. I was already, older brother.
Yeah.
My older brother was very into the Dead. He got me into it. I went to college. I was already all tie-dyed out and hippy-dippy. And and that's why I laugh, you're from Great Neck, because I went to American University down in D.C.
Sure, you met everybody from Great Neck.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where everybody in Great Neck goes.
Dix Hills,
You got,
I mean, they all just,
here you go, GW, you got American, you've got Emory, Michigan, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and then I went to law school with a bunch of people who went to Michigan who are from Great Neck and the area.
There you go.
So you're absolutely right. And they had never heard of the Dead. I mean, they had heard of them, but, you know, and I'm like, no, God, you got to check this out. Now they're in college and, you know, they're free and they've got all this time on their hands and they've never kind of, you know. And
but it's just so interesting. You don't think of lawyers, you think of them suited. You know, it's funny because the same thing with me, right? People don't, they go, oh, you're a suit. I'm not a suit. I just wear a suit, you know?
Yeah.
You could ask Greg. I mean, I swear like a sailor off air. Is this true, Greg?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But it's interesting. So you have a persona of a lawyer that is a guy in a suit going to a trial, and not a guy who's chasing the dead. So it's very funny.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for what it's worth, when I was in law school, to the extent you get to you know, specialize in anything. I mean, I took a bunch of, and I really enjoyed it, a bunch of those touchy-feely civil rights, con law type seminars and courses, and you know, we debated constitutional issues, and it was great.
When's the next Get Geeked? It's going to be in Brooklyn.
October 15th.
All right.
Which is a Thursday at the Brooklyn Expo Center in Greenpoint.
Greenpoint's a nice area.
It's super hip, and you know, I mean, it's where most of the younger tech editors live. I mean, it's really where this event should be. You know, we do a lot of things aside from just letting
well,
the
if I had
geeks
my
in.
choice, it would be in the Meadowlands, so I wouldn't have to travel
Someday,
that far.
someday. I mean, we do a lot of things to differentiate ourselves from, you know, what I think are outdated events, these press-only events where you come in, you schmooze the press, the bar is open, there's carving stations in the corner.
The first thing is you invite consumers to come in.
That's
so
the first
that's
kind
a
of fundamental
differentiator,
thing. We run a ton of social media contests and activations so that every sponsor's Twitter handle is buzzing like crazy during the show. We make sure to deliver photos and videos directly to the sponsors after the show so they have this cool story to share with their followers. And the story isn't, look at us at this press-only event that you were. The story is, look, we get it. You guys are important. We need to talk to you. We need to hear from you. That's what we were doing at Get Geeked last night. You know, we don't put carving stations in the corner. A couple weeks ago, last month in San Francisco, our first San Francisco event, we partnered with Bento, this little startup that has an app that lets you customize a bento box. They deliver it to your office. They catered the show. It was amazing. And they were so cool, and the food was yummy. And you know, we had to give out food tickets to the press. We couldn't just say, you know, this isn't the all-you-can-eat model where you sit in a corner and just get drunk and eat carved roast beef.
Sure.
But in that same mentality, the move to Brooklyn is right for us. You know, I mean, there are 2 or 3 venues, and actually, I was doing the event I did before this, the Gadget Live events, which were really just for consumers. There wasn't this hybrid model. We were doing them down in Soho at 82 Mercer, which is a really beautiful venue down by Astor Place, but they closed. That was a venue I really liked, but you know, other Metropolitan Pavilion, where we were a couple weeks ago. I mean, that's where we see, you know, in the fall, when I'm doing Get Geeked, you know, you'll have your press-only Pepcom event in the Metropolitan Pavilion a couple weeks before ours, and then a couple weeks after us, CES comes in with their press CES preview, same building. So moving it to Brooklyn was another way to kind of differentiate.
Very cool. Very cool. What about your kids? What gadgets do they like? What do you think? I mean, they get to imagine, I imagine they get to see a lot of cool stuff because you get to check it out as well.
Yeah, we get a lot of stuff flowing through the apartment. Yeah. You know, it's funny because similar to what I was talking about, what fascinates me, and I got one 8-year-old, just about to be a 9-year-old boy, great little guy. Hey, Gregory. The way he deals with content, I mean, these are, what do they call them, digital natives, right?
Yes.
So he watches plenty of video, and we do our best to kind of keep it within the parameters of something acceptable. Really hard to police, not just the amount of time, but really hard to police the content. I mean,
sure.
You know, it's hard still to lock down YouTube.
You know, it's interesting. I think that as far as I know, Androids have they really have the best path to that. You know, I love Apple. I love the iPads. I love the iOS devices. But I think that for parental controls, Kindle and the other Android devices, Kindle runs on Android, a version of Android, really have the best lockdown, especially because they also have time limits on how long you can watch videos.
So we go back and forth. I mean, I don't touch the iPad at home, but he goes back and forth between the iPad and I've got a Lenovo tablet. Not one of the brand new ones, but a really kind of hardcore Lenovo tablet that you can kind of really bang around, and not just physically bang around, but just download and upload, and it's a great device. And he'll go back and forth depending on the battery level, but it just fascinates me that he interacts with content in such a different way, and I hate to sound like such an old fart, but you know, I often say, I mean, I think our generation is the equivalent to the generation that, you know, grew up watching their dad go to work on a horse, and then by the time they were middle-aged or whatever, they were going to work in a, you know, a Ford or whatever. That's what we are, right? I mean, we grew up, and it sounds goofy and
fax machines were a big thing.
Dude, I had to get up to change the channel. I mean, you know, I tell my kid I had to get up to change the channel, and he's like,
that.
"What are you talking about?"
My grandfather had a Zenith, a white Zenith TV.
Yeah.
And I had to go click, 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 click.
So he's 8 now, and when they're 8, they're kind of like little adults, you know. But a couple of years ago, when he still wasn't quite the little adult, I remember the first time, I don't know what show it was, but it was not a show that we had DVR'd or that was on demand. And I said to him, "Listen, dude, that show's not on right now." And he just looked at me so quizzically. He's like, "What do you mean? What do you mean it's not on? What do you mean I can't access this right now?" It's like, it's just not on. It's not. We didn't DVR it. It's not on demand. And
yeah, they don't understand it. That's
but I'll tell you, he and I are geeking out. There's some. I don't know if you've checked out like The Flash on CW.
I haven't.
How you got?
He's 2. We're not there.
Oh, you
yet.
only got okay.
Yeah, he's only 2. Jack is only 2. We're at Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, don't tell me you're doing the Wiggles and.
No, just the Mickey Mouse Club. We got the one that's a little weird. Is what's the one? Henry Hugglemonster? No. I
don't know if that one's
This is the one that's with the kid who sings Sid the Science Kid.
That's Sid the Science Kid. Okay, yeah. I mean, I remember when 2 was.
Curious George. I like
2 was still very young.
Yeah, it is.
3, 4, you're gonna try to avoid the Wiggles.
Okay.
If you can get them into, and I don't know, maybe there's new stuff since then. It was a few years ago, but Yo Gabba Gabba is something that he and I used to watch together. It's like a total trip, you know, an old deadhead, and these furry, crazy animals and different things, you know. And they have, you know, it's a kid show, obviously, but Jack Black comes on and co-hosts it and stuff. I mean, it's really one of those shows that has that kind of crossover appeal, you know. So Yo Gabba Gabba it was a lot of fun back in the day, but. Again, watching him interact with content, watching him play around with stuff like Scratch. Are you familiar with Scratch?
No.
So Scratch is one of these, and it was one of the first, and now there's a ton of them, learn to code apps. And it's a drag and drop interface where you are creating conditional statements, drag the if, and then drag the then, and then the cat dances and stuff. And at first it was hard because when you're a Minecraft kid, and I should mention that too, because Lord knows he spends enough time doing that, and Minecraft is just a mind-blowing concept too. But you know, watching him kind of get a little bit of familiarity with coding, and a lot of these learn to code, you know, it takes a while before you get to something that actually resembles real coding, but it's pretty cool, and he gets really excited, and he's like, "Dad, look, I made the cat take a poop, and the poop went on fire," and you know, I mean, because kids love poop. So he plays around with a lot of those, plays a lot of Minecraft.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, we got to take a quick break. This is the Michael Artsis Show. We've got Barry from Get Geeked on, and we come back, we'll have a whole lot more for you. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Michael Artsis Show. I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for joining us. You're the Terrifics. You make BeTerrific special. I've got Barry here from Get Geeked. I'm excited about that. And we've been talking about, Get Geeked a lot. When, it's going to be October 15th, the next one, and the public can come. So how does the public, so first of all, how does the press find out about Get Geeked as far as getting a press credential, showing up to this trade show that talks about tech and shows off some of the latest tech?
So much of what I do across PR, media relations, consumer relations, sponsorship sales is about relationships, right? My PR guy is a guy I've known for about 10 plus years. He came in and pitched us to do the PR for Digital Life when he was at Edelman. He happened to start his own PR firm right around the time I founded Get Geeked, and he's crushing it for me. He's got great lists. Unlike it's interesting because I'm doing this hybrid event where I'm letting geeks in, but yet I know the press at a personal level. I worked at Ziff alongside some of what I consider to be the best tech journalists of Michael Miller, Jim Louderback, Lance Ulanoff, guys like that. Then I was at Gadget with Ryan and Peter, who created Engadget. AOL buys Engadget. I'm at Engadget with all those great writers. So I know these guys, but this is actually the first show where I actually had to go out and get an outside PR firm to make sure that we're getting them there. So we're inviting them.
But I mean, if there's press watching now, I mean, we have a ton of viewership.
Yeah, I mean,
how would they get involved in Get Geeked? Do they just go to getgeeked.com?
.tv.
.tv.
GetGeeked. It's funny. The getgeeked.com domain is actually owned by this really nice guy in Kentucky who is geeked about running. One of the things I love about my brand is that geeked has this generic meaning now of getting excited. He hasn't updated the site in quite some time. He was kind enough to put up a banner last year to point people to us if they got to him by mistake, but I haven't been able to pry that away from him yet. Nor does my budget currently as a startup allow for me to, start writing crazy checks to get the .com. GetGeeked.
It's not really necessary anymore.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. GetGeeked.tv, press RSVP link at the top. Boom, boom. It's real super easy.
Wow. It can't get easier than that. So that's for press.
And consumer RSVP link is right next to it.
Right there. I see it. Wow. Yeah. It couldn't be easier than that. That's pretty cool.
I mean, the cool thing on the consumer side is that, I've been doing events in New York for 10 years. Digital Life was in New York. Gadget Live went all over the country because it was not, there wasn't really a media element, so it didn't matter. There were geeks in every city. We did amazing shows in Chicago and Boston and Seattle. But we haven't done too much to harness these geeks and to create community out of them, but that's something we're looking into doing with Get Geeked. We've launched a membership program to kind of create this community where brands and tech enthusiasts can kind of interact all year long, and that's something that I'm super excited about. So even though we haven't done too much to cultivate this as a community, they know me. I email them. I say, hey, listen, this is when my next event is, and boom, Eventbrite just explodes.
So October 15th, getgeeked.tv, and then you guys did America's Got Geek at CE Week. Tell me about that.
Right. So CE Week is primarily an industry show, and I say primarily because I know the guys who run that very well. Great guys, and we've worked off and on a little bit together over the years. Several years ago, they came to me when I was running Gadget Live, and our New York Gadget Live show was usually in August. And they came to me and said, listen, we're trying to build CE Week. I don't know if you remember, but it launched as Digital Downtown. And then they did a smart thing. They saw that a lot of companies were coming in and kind of leveraging their event and how they were bringing the press into Digital Downtown over the course of 2 days. And these companies were doing their own press events because they knew people were in town, they knew there was people were collecting for this event. So they switched it over to CE Week, and they brought those people under the same umbrella and said, okay, do your own thing, but let's all partner up and let's promote it all together. And it was pretty clever. And then they came to me and said, listen, we want you to be the the official consumer-facing event of CE Week, and this is when I was running Gadget Live, which was consumer, almost exclusively consumer. I mean, we certainly didn't turn media away, but it was really about the geeks. And so I've known those guys for a long time. And this year, they made a couple of changes, and a very, very good friend of mine, Robin Raskin, who I'm sure you know, came in
awesome.
to have a real major role in the programming and kind of the shape and the future and the direction of where CE Week goes from here. And together, we kind of convinced them that this would be the year they would let some geeks in on day 2. So that was kind of the baseline of how we started to work together. Then instead of just letting these geeks in on day 2 and you know, kind of hands off, have fun, we came up with this idea for America's Got Geek, which is, you know, essentially your you know, America's Got Talent type of contest to find the next great YouTube product reviewer. And it was a ton of fun.
Did you find one?
Yeah, we did. Francile was great.
And what happens with Francile now?
So he gets to do video reviews on technologytell.com, which is the tech blog that is run by NAPCO, the North American Publishing Company, which is one of the producers of CE Week.
Pretty cool.
He gets a tutorial at the YouTube studio, which I haven't even been to yet, but the YouTube studio,
unbelievable.
It's
yeah,
supposed to be unbelievable. And we chose 5 finalists.
It's a little bit smaller than ours, not as nice.
Just kidding. We chose 5 finalists, and all 5 of them got insane goodie bags. I mean,
Very cool.
I don't even. They were gear bags. I mean, they were stuffed.
And you had to be a civilian, so to speak, a civvy, right? You couldn't be a journalist. You weren't letting.
You couldn't be a journalist.
You could be a blogger.
You could be a blogger / vlogger if they still use that term.
Or a periscoper. We're periscoping.
So we actually, all of the finalists, all the submissions were great. All of the finalists were great. So the 5 finalists actually show up, and they literally, the product they reviewed live on CE Week TV, they literally only had for 24 hours. So it was, you know, this was. I mean, we talk about the Apple Watch and V1, right? This was V1 of America's Got Geek. So it was predictably chaos, but everybody really stepped up.
Who judges that? I want to judge that next year.
You can absolutely judge that.
I would love to judge that.
So I judged it. Noel Lee, the chief monster, head monster, judged it.
We did a great interview with him.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Amazing I saw that. My buddy Ethan Rossiel at Lightspeed PR, who's getGeek's PR firm, judged it. And Jessica Thorpe from... she's going to kill me because they just rebranded it.
Or I could MC it. I could MC it. I could be the Nick Cannon, or I could be the judge.
Big shoes to fill there, though, because Jim Lauterbach MC'd it this year.
Well, hey, only if you want it. I'm only offering. I don't need to do either.
I mean, you would be a great MC. No, there's no doubt about that. And Jim was great. And, you know, a lot of it was on the fly because, again, kind of V1 chaos.
But it seems like a lot of fun. I think we'll be back at CE Week next year.
We had a ton of fun doing that. And the finalists ranged from, so to answer your question, we weren't super specific about, I mean, we knew we had agreed that no real, you know, you got 1 million YouTube subscribers, you're probably not who we're looking for.
Right, you want somebody who's undiscovered.
Ultimately, there were, I think, 2 of the 5 finalists were up in the thousands on YouTube.
Okay.
And one of them was just getting started on YouTube, and 2 of them had no YouTube channel.
And this person who won is Guy?
Yes.
And he had how was he on YouTube beforehand?
So 2 of the finalists had YouTube channels with several thousand subscribers.
Okay, so he had several thousand subscribers.
Yeah, and his submission, his video submission, reflected that. There was an intro and graphics and, you know, boom, boom,
He knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing, and he did a great job at the finals, but he didn't win.
Wow. Yep. So what about the guy who won? He had YouTube experience?
Very little, but yes, some.
Okay.
He had much less than the other 2. It's all on CE Week TV.
CE Week TV. I'm going to check that out. We know CE Week TV, obviously.
Yep. The competition's up there. The finalists are up there. You know, it was judged on a very loose criteria of kind of concrete things you would want in terms of the information they gave us, but also the less concrete elements of, you know, what's your energy level, how engaging / entertaining are you, and Francile just kind of nailed it with all of those elements.
I gotta check this Francile out. I wanna check out Francile. All right, I got to thank you so much for joining us, Barry. It's been a pleasure to have you in here. You got to come in more often. Get Geeked, October 15th in Brooklyn. Go to getgeeked.tv. Thanks for talking Apple Watch. Off camera on Periscope, we talked some, in between commercials, we talked some Boston sports. I don't know what the latest with Tom Brady is in this Deflategate, but I think they're upholding it, I think is what they're going to do.
I mean,
apparently the latest
no
is he offered money.
On the, no timeline.
But according to Pro Football Talk, Brady offered to pay a fine, which is kind of weird. He offered to say, like, give me 2 games and I'll pay you. I mean, at that point, it gets weird.
So here's the thing.
And they've supposedly turned that
Whether
down.
it's 1 game or 4 games, it's the Pats, it's Belichick. So if you want to kind of do a sneaky little thing in your fantasy leagues, grab Jimmy Garoppolo, good young QB that we drafted last year. He's going to step in and he's going to play
look what
great.
Matt Castle did, right?
Exactly, and look what he's done since. So there's something to that system, right?
I will tell you there is. I will tell you Brady is unbelievable. And I will also tell you that I think that they did not have enough evidence in my mind to convict this guy, basically. I think that they did not prove. They're the NFL. They don't have to prove it without a reasonable doubt,
It's not a court of law.
It's not a court of law. But to me, and I think I've said this a million times on the air. If the NFL wants to stop it, it's very simple. Provide the footballs for the games.
Right?
Like, why are the teams providing the footballs?
Yeah.
I get it. When the league started, they couldn't afford $2 million for the season for footballs. But now $2 million would be nothing. It'd be, let's bring on another sponsor. We'll run 1 more commercial.
We talked a little bit about PR. I mean, if any entity was in need of some PR help, it's the NFL.
I think it's more than PR help. I think it's something up here.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway.
Get Geeked events if you're looking for us on social.
Get Geeked events.
All over the place. Twitter,
I'm already
Facebook,
geeked.
I'm very geeked.
Yeah. I love that you came. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
We got to
This was
talk
a lot
some
of
more.
fun. Absolutely, anytime, man.
So that's Barry. I'm Michael. Of course, you got Greg behind the curtain, and he's doing a phenomenal job, working hard to give you the sights and sounds here in the studio. To the Periscope folks, hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll keep doing it. I don't know. We'll check it out. And to you guys at home, thank you so much for watching. We will be here tomorrow. So until next time, be terrific.